Hello Seawolves and welcome back to the show. A bit of different setting today. We're on board my own little The Spirit of Amsterdam for a lot of preparatory work for some very cool stuff to come in the near future. But more on that in later episodes. Of course, it's time finally for an update. Lots have happened. You all know that Clarice Kramer and Benjamin Dutroux both finished, but in the pitch black dark of night, so no real live stream to be had at that point. But both Boris and Sam Davis now on their way into the Bay of Biscay, so hopefully soon we'll have kind of like an overall finish with those two skippers also coming into the channel, and we'll do a live stream of course there also. But before we get into the other updates, let's do a well, I hope you have something delicious in your, of course, official Seawolf mug by now, and let's hop on board with Benjamin Cornack for some beautiful sailing images. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, Wolves! Some very good sailing. Being on board here, looking at that, ooh, I really want to get out of the marina here soon, as fast as possible. Well, so Boris and Samantha Davis both made it through some pretty gnarly weather. Some images of that coming right now. But both making their way into the Bay of Biscay. So day and a half maybe or so until both of them will be able to finish. Looking forward to it. And we got some great updates from both skippers. So let's hop on board with Boris Herrmann and Samantha Davis. Here we go.
Un peu dans la tempête au large de Portugal. Actuellement il y a 40 nœuds, 45 en fait, entre 35 à 50 et puis à peu près 7 mètres de mer. Je fais un peu le dos rond, j'ai la grande voile avec 3 rigs, j'essaie de pas aller trop vite. Puis ouais, c'est assez magnifique la mer dehors. Je vais partager quelques images avec vous. Bonne journée, voilà, bonne journée.
everyone. Almost there. 168 miles to my waypoint near Cap Finesterre. That's about, at this speed, 12 hours. And from there I should be able to curve around the Cape with a good distance of 50, 60 miles to avoid any too bad sea state or catastrophic sea state near the continental shelf. So yeah, we have pretty full-on conditions, but sunshine, as you can see. And we have the smallest possible sail. We have just the main sail, Reef 3, but that's pretty small. And no head sail. I furled them up to go not too slow, not too fast down the waves. Pretty impressive waves when I look out the window, but sometimes they knock us down. That means a wave suddenly hits the back and the boat curves into the wind and heels over a lot. But so far that has happened 4 times since the storm began, and so far it seems manageable. The pilot gets the boat back on track without any particular help from me. I'm happy when this is over. I'm a bit tense. Oops. And then we see possible ETA 29th or 30th. We will see what conditions we get. The models don't agree 100% yet on the situation, the Bay of Biscay, but the worst should be really today until tomorrow, let's say until tomorrow 11 UTC. So just 20 hours now, and then that should be the last big exam of this Vendeeglobe, hopefully. If everything holds together like this, then we should be fine. And yeah, please don't give us much more wind or waves. A bit more is forecasted to come, but I hope it's going to stay manageable. We have sometimes had a few big squalls I had one with 64 knots. So then I bear away. But for now I can hold my course. Fingers crossed, wish us luck, and talk to you tomorrow.
Pretty heavy stuff there. Huh? Now, Yannick Bestaven on board of Metrocock, he is of course no longer in the race after having had the damage to his rudder installation and his autopilot, and having to forfeit the race. But he did shoot some epic 360 camera footage. Check it out. And of course, the Seawolf episode wouldn't be complete without the latest update from Conrad Colman. Here we go.
You see that? That's an empty ballast tank. Let me tell you, that is exciting. And that's exciting because there's been so much wind and so many waves crashing over the boat these last 3 days that this ballast tank on the leeward side was filling up with water up to 4 times a day, and that was 1.5 tons of water sitting on the leeward side. And so I was spending my time pumping, trying to checking all the valves and connectors and things, trying to figure out where the water was coming from. Once I discovered where it was, from one of the aeration vents, I then had to try and stop the water from coming in, and I had various unsuccessful attempts to do that. Now I've fixed it. That's because I slammed a wooden bung into the hole and hammered it in, and now the ballast tank is dry. And this time has been seriously uncomfortable. It's been incredibly varied. You know, that we've had wind as low as 14, now I've got 28, and it's been gusting up to 48 knots. And so I really don't know what kind of sail plan to use in that. Got J3 and 2 reefs, which is pretty conservative, and kind of works as a good in between for all of those crazy conditions. But the sea state is super bumpy, really uncomfortable. I feel like the boat is suffering a little bit. I'm certainly suffering. You know, I can't sit down and relax. I can't sleep properly. I'm feeling pretty drained, actually. So it should start to feel a bit better, at least tomorrow. And as we head our way northwards, up towards the anticyclone, then of course, the wind will drop. And I hope the sea state too, because less wind than this with these waves would just be awful. So it's not terribly fun right now, but it's good for progress, I guess. So wish me luck.
Well, it's time for the technical analysis, so let's hop inside and get on that. So, as you can see, we have both Boris Herrmann here and Samantha Davis getting very close now to, well, Boris is actually sort of past Cape Finesterre. In fact, I'm moving into the Bay of Biscay, and as you can see, the weather still very tough. You know, Biscay weather is like not the lightest anyways, but to have a full-on storm like this with knots up to 45 gusts in the gusts means some epically huge sea states. So yeah, for both of them it's going to be pretty intense, pretty dangerous actually to kind of move in there. If we look at the routages, we see again that right now it's routing towards Le Sable, but you know, with the weather still being pretty bad, sea states being pretty large, I wouldn't say that it's a guarantee that they'll actually go to the Sable. Might be that they also, because of big weather, have to move to La Rochelle, though it does look better for them. So most likely they will have like sort of lighter stuff as they approach, and with that they'll probably be able to go into Le Sable. But you know, let's wait for it to happen first before we see how it actually goes down. Then we have to immediately hop back quite a bit, as you say, half the Atlantic more or less, to Roman Athanasia, who's cut out a nice lead on the rest of the kind of pack there in 14th place. We see Metro Cock, we were on board with him earlier, sailing close by, so with his repairs in place, doing nicely. And then we hop right away to the big group, so a lot of foilers, non-foilers all together. Of course, in the back of it we have Jean Le Cam, who's still sort of doing okay, but you know, with his kind of adjusted sail and being able not to really fully sail the boat, sort of limping along, but keeping nice pace with the rest of the group, not falling behind that much. So maybe a combination of just, you know, clever routing and still being able on some wind angles, you know, kind of the more lighter wind stuff, to still be able to sail his boat very fast. If we dig into the group a little bit, we see right in front of Jean, Conrad Colman, of course. So you know, despite how it all went down, a very nice position for Conrad. Then Alan Rora, we have Giancarlo Pedotto, also somebody that a lot of you guys are following in a nice, what is it, 15th? I think, yeah, 15th place. We have Damien Seguin, 16th. Right next to there, Isabel Jarske. And of course, Tanguy. And I already talked about Benjamin Fair. We saw him earlier also. Now you can see that they're all like really close together. So, you know, despite it not being like the top 10 places anymore, this can turn into a really nice battle now that they're kind of making their way past the Azores High. You see that they all more or less just went as west as possible that they needed to kind of avoid it. So they'll be through in about a day and a half, and then the race is on. And shall we take a quick look at the routages for them to see kind of what the weather holds? Yeah, as you can see, that they too are going to get some very strong, like we have lots of very strong, very persistent systems in the north right now. Of course, it is winter time, so this is to be expected, but they are, well, let's say we're having a strong wind. Yesterday here in Amsterdam also it was 40 knots, like really crazy in the marina. Beautiful, sunny, but strong winds. And so they're going to have similar conditions, basically strong winds, you know, gusting into the 30s or something, baseline something like 20, 25 knots, all the way up to the Bay of Biscay if they manage to kind of avoid the lighter stuff both to the north and south. So yeah, pretty good, fast conditions, you could say. So I think it's going to be a nice, epic sail, you know, for the home stretch, which is of course very nice to see. Then behind there, still sailing kind of all by his onesie, you have Garrick Soudet, making nice speed though in 23rd position, kind of the magic number still there, of course. We have Kajira Shirishi leading the kind of the best of the rest group there with Arno Boiseries. We have, of course, Violet Derange here. We have Sébastien Marcet and Louis Duc, all kind of sailing nice and closely together. So once they kind of get to the Azores High and get through, that could also turn into, yeah, a nice group action towards the finish. Then also quite isolated Eric Bellon there. We have to the good, of course, Oliver making his way nicely past the coast of South Africa and kind of made his way through most of the patchy stuff along with Jean Jinju also. And then all the way in the back we see that Manuel Cosin holding on to that lead that he kind of grabbed right in front of Cape Horn in 32. Behind there Fabrice Amadeo and Dennis van Wijnberg fell back again. He was a little bit closer at some point, but I guess he fell back again a little bit, so more or less sailing alone again, but at least he touched the other group. And well, shall we take a little look at his, oh, I didn't select it there, I guess. Let's take a quick look at his routages. Yeah, it seems that they're going to have a pretty slow go of it, also kind of past the coast there with a lot of patchy weather, pretty much like what we've seen with the rest of the race passing through there. And yeah, that's it for this update. So thank you all again very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe. Like I said, we got some very cool stuff coming. I'm not going to give anything away on the channel, but as the race ends, we're going to get into some very cool race related stuff all over. So I'm really looking forward to. Going to be super fun. Yeah, and for now, just have a great week and see you probably, I hope, tomorrow or the day after in the live stream with the finish of Samantha and Boris, and hopefully of course also with the entering of the channel of Clarice and Benjamin. So it should be a nice live stream in maybe a day and a half, day or two or so. Have a nice day. Ciao, ciao, wolves.